Hi guys, I know it's been a while and here we are with the Nokia T21 for a review here at Tablet-News.com. We're dealing here with a 10.4-inch tablet which may well be ideal for Netflix and some kids applications on account of having a kid space area. Now, we're dealing here with a budget tablet. It's priced at around $300, maybe even less in some areas of the world, and as you can see it's quite focused on media consumption. So there was already the Nokia T20. This is an upgrade for that model. It brings a Unisoc CPU, stereo speakers and an 8200 mAh battery. It even has a stylus support. Now, when everything's said and done, it's time to start the review and let's discuss the design first. We got here a metal build, a pretty solid one, a two-tone approach and the camera module similar to the Nokia X31. Now, the weight is decent, 466 grams. I'm happy to inform you there's IP52 certification and a thickness of just 7.5 millimeters. Once again, solid build, doesn't feel any sort of vulnerability, and the screen is supposed to be protected against scratches, even though Nokia hasn't exactly revealed which solution is used here. We have bezels thick of about 1 centimeter, good enough to rest our hands on, and you're going to be using that to your advantage when you're watching a lot of videos for the long hours. Okay, so that's about it design wise, pretty well built and comfy, but it's more of a portrait, it's more of a landscape experience rather than a portrait one. Moving forward, what we have here is the screen. This one is an IPS LCD with a 10.4-inch diagonal and at the same time 2000 over 1200 pixel resolution. We have here a sample to put it to the test. Okay, let's go full screen and here we are. So IPS LCD 10.4 inches, 2000 over 1200 pixels, scratch protection, and overall it feels more like an indoor affair. It cannot take the sun. The contrast isn't good enough. We have some decent view angles here, although not the widest in the world, as you can see for yourself. And the brightness is once again only good for indoor activities. Once you get outdoors, it's simply not enough. But somehow I'm happy with the color calibration, which you can see for yourself. It's a quality one. Now, if you want to get into figures and all that, we have done a bunch of tests. For starters, the pixels have an RGB stripes arrangement. And then we go further and we can reveal the level of brightness achieved with a lux meter. Okay, so it's quite underwhelming, 224 lux units. Consider that it's 50% or even less of the Nexus 7 from 10 years ago, and that should say it all. It's also much less than the Huawei MatePad 11, but it beats narrowly the Galaxy Tab A8 10.5. Moving forward, we find other components of this tablet, and let me start off by talking about the CPU, which you have here. So let me just shut this app and open it again to see everything properly. Okay, so the CPU is a Unisoc Tiger 612. This CPU here is actually a 12 nanometer one, and it's related to the one on the Galaxy Tab A8 10.5. It's a Tiger T618, that one. We're also getting 4 gigs of RAM and also 120 gigabytes of storage plus micro SD card slot, which is available here on the same tray as the Nano SIM. Well, I have to admit there is some lag here and there. You probably noticed some before when you're doing activities which are more intensive or when you have multiple apps open in the background, as I honestly have right now. Let's actually clear them all. Okay, now aside from that, we also have some benchmarks. This is definitely not, I repeat, not a gaming device, but it can play some casual titles if you truly want to. When it comes to the benchmarks, not exactly a record breaker. It beats the Galaxy Tab A8 in AnTuTu 9, while in the Geekbench 5 test multicore, it beats some Galaxy Tab A devices, which is not bad. At the same time, if you're looking for 3D Mark, here we are, below the Tab S6 Lite, below the Galaxy Tab A7 10.4 from 2020, but above the Tab A7 Lite. So there you have it, a typical budget performance. Now, the good news is that it's a stranger when it comes to overheating. In benchmarks, merely 31.3 degrees, and in games, 35.7 degrees Celsius, which is, I would say, quite decent. I think it's time to discuss the battery. The tablet we have here offers an 8200 mAh polymer battery. It also provides 18 watts charging, but in the box there's no charger. Now, we did a bunch of video playback tests, and we actually went here and enjoyed our content because once again we have Netflix available, we have Spotify, we have YouTube. In this case it's only about the video, so let's see the results we achieved. When it comes to video playback, check it out. It actually comes up at the top, is the highest playback level we've reached on a tablet over the past years, 14 hours and 50 minutes, above all the Galaxy Tab S and Tab A's we've tested ever. While the continuous usage is, I would say, just decent, nothing record-breaking, 8 hours and 4 minutes. It's so-so. It is able to beat the last year flagship Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra and go against a few older Xiaomi devices, but it's 4 hours below the Huawei MatePad 11 and also below the Xiaomi Pad 5 and a few other tablets. Sadly, the charge is a bit on the long side. It requires 4 hours and 43 minutes with a third-party charger, and after 30 minutes you're at about 5%, which is basically nothing. So you're in for quite the wait. Now, nowadays we've seen many tablet makers put quad speakers or even octa speakers on their devices, and you're just seeing lag right now. Okay, speaker time. So we have here one speaker, and here we have the other one, and you're going to be listening to some tunes now, and then we'll draw some conclusions. Once again, I wouldn't have minded having quad speakers. I can also see two microphones here, one and the other one here, and guess what, we even have an audio jack right here. Okay, so it's music time, so let's find some tunes. Okay, so it's music time. Okay, so this is actually a pretty solid song, and also solid are the speakers. I'm actually blown away. Above expectations is what I would say, even though I've honestly also tested them before. They went above and beyond. So I would say so far they're the selling point together with the video playback time. We also have some measurements here. Once again, plenty of bass, high notes, fine voices, loud volume, everything you want. 80.2 decibels at the top and 82.8 decibels at the bottom we measure with an acoustic sample, and given these results we actually surpassed the Galaxy Tab A7 Lite and the Tab S8 Ultra even, but we're below the Tab A8 10.5, the main rival, and the Huawei MatePad 11. In the gaming department, check it out, it's the first place tablet all time with 102.9 decibels. I would say it's pretty much a powerhouse even though it's a budget device. Now, camera wise, I won't insist too much on it. You know the idea I always tell you when I do these reviews. Who wants to take a picture using a slab with a 10-inch screen? Here at the front we have an 8 megapixel camera, which is more for video calls or rather than selfies. At the back side, the pleasant surprise is the LED flash and the 8 megapixel camera, this time around with autofocus included. And if you want, I can show you some of the features which the camera has to offer. We go here. I'm going to use this little cat here and take our time. Okay, so features. We got a bunch of filters here. We got this beautify option. We have the timer. We have a portrait option, a panorama option, and of course, photo and video. There are other extras here on the side, like for example, the zoom. There's also the flash, the aspect, and a few extra options and settings here. HDR is also part of the package, and I'm happy to see that OZO is also part of it, courtesy of the microphones you saw earlier. Well, that's pretty much it camera wise. It's a basic package for basic needs. I won't insist too much on it, but I will insist on the connectivity aspect because this device delivers quite a few features. We're lucky enough to have the 4G version here with a nano SIM card slot. It has Wi-Fi dual band. There's Bluetooth 5.0 available here, NFC. Let's actually confirm it. Internet calls, VPN, okay. Bluetooth is here as well. Notifications, sound, display, pen experience. security, location, and more. I don't quite see the NFC, but let me search for it. Nope, no NFC this time around. Okay, so once again, Wi-Fi dual band, Bluetooth 5.0, GPS 4G, nano SIM, and an USB-C 2.0 port at the bottom here. Of course, this being a cellular enabled unit, you're going to be able to place calls here and send texts here. We did a bunch of speed tests and let's see what came out. So we have the app here. We focused on Wi-Fi for starters. I will be back with more tests for the 4G. In Wi-Fi, we achieved some modest results, 268 megapsecond downloads and 322 megapsecond uploads. Still, it's not Wi-Fi 6, so I would say it's decent. Now, software-wise, this is Android 12 with an extra. Usually, the leftmost home screen is for the news. Here is for multimedia content. It's going to gather here and centralize your Netflix, YouTube, YouTube Kids, and all the other services. There is a gaming area, there's a book area, and there's a music area. All of them gathered in this lovely hub. Other than that, it's a pretty stock experience, which includes, among others, classical widgets, which you can see here. And of course, we'll never forget the fact that we also have Stylus support here, which is shown in the settings. It supports Wacom technology styli, and you can set here the options associated with the buttons of the styli. Okay, so you also have Kid Space available here, which basically lets you create a profile for your little fellow and help him choose a series of interests, and at the same time recommended books, apps, and videos. He or she can create her own avatar, and of course there's parental control. You can select the websites which the little fellow accesses, and also control everything from the distance with Family Link. That's it in a nutshell. A bunch of pre-installed apps. You have here Netflix, Spotify, ExpressVPN, and of course the Stylus application which I mentioned before. The interface is stock and includes, among others, this drop-down area with notifications and quick settings. Pretty easy to access. In a nutshell, this has been the review of the Nokia T21, and we're here for the verdict. We have the pros and cons. The pro, the main one, would probably be the build and how comfy the device is, followed by the fact we have 4G connectivity and unexpectedly good speakers, even though Nokia did deliver on such devices before. It's also pretty solid for movie watching indoors, satisfying video playback time. I'm referring to the battery here. And I should probably also mention that the camera has an LED flash, which you don't see every day on a tablet. We have a micro SD card slot and audio jack. There's no DRM problem, and it has stylus support. Those are obviously the pros. When it comes to the cons, I should probably also mention the fact that the brightness is poor, so there's no love for outdoor usage. The charging is very long. There is some lag here and there, and the continuous usage leaves a bit to be desired. In the end, the tablet would be bought for the kids and for fun to consume multimedia content. Those are its two core purposes. Preferable to get it with 4G and maybe even introduce a stylus in the mix. Beware of the lag, but you can definitely clear it if you clear all the apps running in the background. That's it in a nutshell. This has been the review of the Nokia T21 tablet. Goodbye.